Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. There's a lot going on out at the Beechcraft Museum, and that place that we know is out there but don't hear enough about. And so we want to find out what all's going on. They've already been busy and got some more things coming up in the next few months. So our guest today is Charles Parish, who is the Executive Vice President of the Museum Foundation. And Charles, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us, and we're anxious to hear about it. Let's start with...
Thanks, Tom. Thanks.
Okay. Let's start with a little bit of your history with the museum.
Yeah, well, my history goes back, I guess, to when I was pretty young. I was 10 or 11 when my father and some other gentlemen decided they'd start the Staggerwing Museum at the time, and that's what a lot of people in the community still remember it as, is the Staggerwing Museum. And so I was a small kid, I guess, when it was first envisioned and started. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think we don't hear that enough and don't give enough credit to the fact that that's entirely a voluntary situation out there. You raise your own funds among your members and other members of the community, and you have no taxpayer dollars involved.
That's correct.
So that's a great asset and doesn't cost us anything. So.
Just to give you a little history of how it did get started, my father grew up here in Tullahoma when we had the base out at the airport, which we have now, and used to enjoy seeing the airplanes fly, and decided he wanted to be a pilot. So when he got in college, he got his pilot's license, and he got this interest in old airplanes. And he started going to this fly-in that was up in Iowa, and fell in love with an airplane called the Beechcraft Staggerwing. Fell in love with one in particular. He met the gentleman that owned it. Took him 4 years to do it, but he finally talked him into selling it to him. But with that, he was able to become great friends with this gentleman, and his name was Dub Yarborough. He's deceased now, but he was able to talk him into moving to Tullahoma, working for our family business at the time. And Dub Yarborough, John Parish Sr., a gentleman by the name of Glenn McNabb, who is the father to Wade McNabb, who you might have associated with our museum, and a few others from, just to be careful with names because folks in Tullahoma wouldn't recognize them anyway, decided to start this museum. And I'll be happy to continue with a little more history of how it got started, Tom. Is that what you'd like me to do at this point?
Well, no, we don't, unless there's something. I think the emphasis is on the fact that it's a volunteer operation.
It is.
So you've got money contributed from any major contributors that you wanted to mention?
Well, I think during this interview we may discuss a project we've got coming up in the near future, and I'd like to mention one individual, but we'll save it for that point because it is pretty amazing what some of our folks have done.
All right. Well, very good. Let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll be right back.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once. And deliver to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not one penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
We're talking today, folks, with Charles Parish, who is the Executive Vice President of the Tullahoma Heritage Museum Foundation. I probably left some of it out.
Beechcraft Heritage Museum.
Beechcraft Heritage Museum.
Very good.
Okay. And so he's now running the railroad out there at the moment. Meanwhile, there's been a lot of interest in town. We've had a whole bunch of helicopters flying around in a circle, and they are kind of noisy. And everybody's been a few complaints as well. What's that about?
Well, it's our National Guard, so I hope everybody understands that's our friendly soldiers out there preparing to take care of us if they have to. So it's Black Hawk helicopters. What they're actually doing, they're doing some controller training out there. So they have a control tower set up, a mobile controls tower set up, and they're training these controllers to manage the traffic. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the patterns around the airport, because they have two Black Hawks that are being instructed on when to approach and depart and landing instructions. So,
was there only two of them?
It sounds like more. I realize that, but I hope everybody understands that's our good American soldiers out there taking care of us.
Yeah, they're there training to help take care of us.
They buy a lot of fuel too, so they do help our community and buy a lot of jet fuel.
That's buying that fuel. That's the airport's primary income source.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's move on. You've got an expansion coming up. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, well, we've talked about a little bit earlier on about how the museum got started, and since 1973, when we built just a small log cabin, and then shortly after that a hangar behind it to house a few airplanes. Well, we're over 60,000 square foot under roof now on our campus right off Old Shelbyville Highway, and we're continuing to grow. We have over 36 airplanes, and we're completely out of space to house any more donations. And we have donations, maybe 5 or 6 throughout the year, of folks wanting to give us significant aircraft. Huh? So it's time to expand. So we're going to take a facility, one particular building right now that's 18,000 square feet, and double it. So it'll be a 36,000 square foot building.
How many airplanes will it let you add?
Oh, let's see. That would probably, it depends on the size of them. Beechcraft made lots of different models, different sizes, from singles to twin, King Airs. But to answer your question, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've already got donors out there waiting, huh?
Yeah, we do. It's pretty amazing. We have some very significant aircraft in that museum of the Beechcraft brand.
Yeah. Okay, well, you've had a lot going on already this summer, and you've got some more coming up. There was something called the Stoll Seminar. What was that?
If I might back up just a little bit on what the museum's purpose is we're not just a place where people can come see interesting airplanes, but we also want to hold unique events at our facility and draw people to our community that might stay in our hotels, eat in our restaurants, and that type of thing. So this was a group called the Recreational Aircraft Foundation that's a national organization, asked us if they could have what they call a Stoll training event here at our facility for 3 days, and that stands for
short.
Thank you, Tom. Short takeoff and landing, Stoll, and it's really
that's a particular kind of airplane. What
no, it's not. It's a particular type of procedures you use to operate an airplane to make them safer, to make the pilot and the aircraft safer in operations. Let's say they have to land in a real short location or a real short runway. It helps prepare them to do that.
Right, right. So, and who were you? Who were you training? Who were they?
There were folks from all over the country that flew in their own personal aircraft that wanted to get this type of training, learn how to fly their airplane in a slower configuration, learn how to land their aircraft in a shorter distance. So we had folks from all over the country.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that doesn't get mentioned very much. You have a very substantial training mission going on out there, where you're
youth education and training, and yes.
Yeah. Well, you've had another one already this summer, which everybody was kind of surprised to see us have gliders come floating over in the landing pattern. The Glider Academy, I think they called it.
That's correct. It's our Civil Air Patrol. Obviously most people know what that is. It was started back in World War II, where civilians patrolled to assist our military around the country to watch for submarines and other maybe invading forces, and it's still in operation now. It's called the Civil Air Patrol, and they were training youth to fly the gliders. And they had, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 youth from all over the country, and I think one young man was from Germany that was here. And this is the second or third year we've done this, and it's a nine-day event at our facility.
Youth being what age?
14 to 17.
Oh, okay.
And these are the brightest and the best around the country that were selected to participate in this program. We basically host it. The Tullahoma Regional Airport is where the flying takes place. So it's a joint effort between the community of Tullahoma, who owns the airport, and us hosting the event at the museum.
Yeah. And in case you don't remember, folks, the museum is actually located on what I guess is the south end of the
That's correct.
Airport. And your entryway, though, is on the old Shelbyville Highway, right? You
That's
get
correct.
on the old Shelbyville Highway to turn in, and a couple of signs there that point you to the museum. So you're never actually on the airfield. Okay. And, well, that was a 10-day event, was it, for 14?
That's correct.
14 to 17-year-olds. That must have been a lot of fun, yeah.
Well, these young men and women, they start out with not having a glider rating or a license, and if they're successful in that period of time, they actually are rated to fly gliders when they leave.
Do they already have to be a pilot?
No, they are not.
Glider? They do not. So you can learn to fly a glider and still not know how to fly an airplane.
You can actually you can get your glider rating at 14 in the United States, where you can't get a pilot's license till you're 17, a power license, but you can get a glider rating at 14, believe it or not. So.
Okay. Yeah, well, we don't often see that many gliders floating around here. They've got that big landing strip up north of Shelbyville. That's right. a glider port, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, Eagleville. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't have any permanently stationed here, do we?
Oh, actually, we do. The Civil Air Patrol has 2 towing aircraft and I believe 2 glider aircraft that they train, but you don't see them as regularly. They typically fly for a couple hours, maybe on a Saturday if it's nice, or a Sunday. But this event, you're right, it was continuous. 4 tow aircraft and 4 gliders flying continuously for 9 days. So that's why you saw a lot of aircraft in the air.
Yeah, oh, very good. Well, okay, we're coming up on a short commercial break, folks, and we'll come back and talk some more.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades, and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Charles Parish, who is the Executive VP at the museum. And you've already had a pretty active summer. You got a little break maybe between now and the fall. Is there anything else in there, or are we ready to get to the fly-in?
Well, not really a break. We stay pretty busy at the museum. I was telling you earlier when we were briefing for this interview that our traffic through the front door for touring our museum has doubled over last year. So Sherry Repke and Jody
great.
Curtis and myself stay pretty busy taking care of folks.
Somebody's getting the word out there.
We're doing a better job of marketing, I believe so. We're working very closely with the Department of Tourism of the state of Tennessee, and that's been very helpful.
Well,
Plus,
sure.
just if you recall the AOPA event we had last October, where we had a big event.
Pilots Association. Right.
It's the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, about 400,000 general aviation folks strong. They had an event here, and that helped spread the word about the museum being here in Tullahoma, and so we got more folks flying in to see us as well.
Well, that's good.
And it's kind of neat because they can taxi right off the end of the runway there and taxi through our grass taxiway and taxi right up to the front door. So it's a very unique experience for somebody that flies in to tour our museum.
Yeah, so we've got tourists in town that are flying in, huh? And they're able to park there close to the
right in front,
museum?
Practically in the front door. They're actually probably closer than the car traffic is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about your fly-in coming up in the fall.
Yes, this will, I can't remember how many years we've had this event. I want to say it's been since 1974 or 5, but it's a very unique event. October the 12th through I think it's the 17th, somewhere in there. And we got some interesting aircraft coming in for it this year. Your standard Stagger Wings and Beech 18s and Bonanzas and Barons, but we also have one of the most unique aircraft that Beech made going to make an appearance. And folks in Tullahoma, if they are not able to come out to the event, they can actually see it flying over. It's called the Beechcraft Starship, and we have one of those aircraft on display in our museum, and it's very unique. There's only 3 flying in the world.
What is the Starship?
It was a corporate aircraft with a canard design it's hard to describe, but it's a very unique looking aircraft that was built back in the 80s for corporate travel by the Beechcraft Corporation. And without being able to show a picture, it's probably a little hard to explain.
It's
a corporate
plane.
aircraft. It could probably seat somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 in the back, plus pilot and co-pilot.
Yeah, okay. Well, very good. And they've only been 3 of those built?
No, there was actually 40-something built, but there's only 3 of them flying now, so it's a pretty unique airplane.
Is it, the rest of them, they've been around that long?
They're either in museums like the one that we have, or possibly destroyed for some reason, but not flying anymore.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. How many folks do you expect in the fall, do you know?
We'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of, the numbers don't sound as great as the actual event that takes place. It's because it's a very kind of a unique group of folks that are just Beechcraft enthusiasts. But we'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 airplanes and 600 or 700 people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's a good sized crowd. Yeah, and I think it seems to me like there have been 3 stages. As you say, it started off as a stagger wing museum. That's a unique biplane.
That's correct.
One wing is shorter than the other, I guess, or maybe it's a little forward.
It's the way it's designed. The top wing is behind the lower wing. When most biplanes do something to this nature.
Yeah.
And so it was a unique design by Mr. Beech and Mr. Ted Wells in 1932.
And that's why they call it stagger.
Stagger wing, yes.
Okay. And then you expanded from that. Well, I think was there an intermediate step? Because now you're taking all Beechcraft, right?
That's correct. We decided that the stagger wing, as we get closer to into time or modern times, it's become fairly rare. You don't see as many folks, and they're fairly expensive, so folks aren't flying them as much as they used to. So where we used to have 40 maybe stagger wings at a convention 30 years ago, we'll have 10, and we're very lucky to have 10. So we knew we had to expand our growth and expand our mission to other Beechcraft enthusiasts. We have lots of Bonanzas and Barons and others type of more modern looking aircraft that Beechcraft made that show up now, and it's helped expand our membership base as well.
How many planes have you got in the museum?
About 36.
36.
And as I was saying, we have folks calling us 2 or 3 times a year with unique. We could accept more. Yeah.
Yeah. When
we get the new space, as we say, we're out of space right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about one other thing about your coming event. You're hoping to break ground on your expansion. And you said you were doubling the size of one of the...
That's correct. Going from currently 18,000 square feet to 36,000 feet. So it's in essence completely doubling the size.
Doubling it, and I think you said that allowed you 10 more aircraft or so?
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay, and then again, they're trying to raise $2 million, folks. So if you got a little money in your pocket that you'd like to donate to a worthy cause, well, they'd be happy to see you.
Just a little on that fundraising, Tom. A gentleman from Atlanta, Mr. Harold Bost, came before us back in October of last year and said, I'll tell you what, if we can do this expansion, I'll put up $1 million if you guys can go out and get folks to give matching. So every dollar that comes in is matched by Mr. Boss, which is really a unique situation that's hard to find every day.
Yeah.
Very excited about it. So.
Is it going, well, you've already started, is it going pretty well?
Well, we're going through the permitting process right now with the city of Tullahoma, and as far as I can tell, that's moving forward fairly well. I think most people in our community realize this is a real asset to our community, and that they're being very helpful in seeing that we move forward, and this does come to fruition.
Yeah, very good. And so you're trying to raise $2 million. And right? And
that's correct.
You're hoping to break ground during the fall event?
That's correct. Right? We're in essence about 3/4 of the way to our fundraising goal. So we hope to hit that by October and be able to put the spade in the ground and start the construction. It'll probably take about 6 months to 8 months for construction of this new facility.
Okay. So we're looking at the completion of the expansion sometime next summer. And we might just remind everybody, what are the museum hours these days?
We're open from 8:30 to 4:30, Tuesday through Saturday, closed on Sundays and Mondays, and we're also closed for the month of December, January, and February. So those hours run from March till the end of November.
Closed for 3 months. I didn't remember that.
We'll open up for special events. As you know, we've had chamber events there in January, so we're there. But we just found that our traffic was a little bit lower, and so we cut the thermostats down, try to conserve energy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of understandable. Okay, and
that may change one day. When I was talking about the traffic we were having through how it's increased, it could be one day we're open year-round. That's true.
Yeah.
So.
Well, okay. That's and remind everybody also that the museum is on the south end of the Tullahoma Regional Airport, and you get there off the old Shelbyville Highway. And once you turn in there, you're able to get up and park close to the museum.
That's correct.
So that's good. And you do, you're doing tours. Do they buy a tour when the tourist comes in?
Yeah, admission is, I think it's right at $10 for adults, and there's a lesser charge for, I think, under 12.
Okay.
Got me a little bit on this on that. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I was just wondering if do you conduct tours periodically, like every hour on the hour or something, or
no? We'll do that on we'll do tours on a request basis. I guess I see what you're asking me now. Yes, we'll do that on request basis.
Okay, because a lot of us that go in wandering around wouldn't quite know what we were looking at. So. Well, with that, folks, we've run out of time. We're going to take a short commercial break and wrap up.
The Russell Barnett Automotive family is the largest automotive retailer in southern Middle Tennessee. With over 1,200 vehicles to choose from, we are your one-stop shop. Check out our awesome website, russellbarnett.com. There's over 1,200 vehicles to choose from. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, and Ford of Winchester, or Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Charles Parish, who is the Executive VP at the Beechcraft Heritage Museum at the airport. And they've got lots of things going on and more of them coming up. So, Charles, is there a little word you'd like to put out direct to the folks?
Sure. Well, first off, Tom, it's really nice of you to have me on the show today to talk about our museum. We have really a unique facility here in our small community, at the Beechcraft Heritage Museum, and we're proud to be here. We have numerous events throughout the year that I think enhance our airport and use our facilities here in the community, hotels and restaurants. So we try to draw people in, and proud to be here. So, and we're strong. We're about a $10 million operation that's continuing to grow. We talked about the expansion that
another $2 million.
Yeah, that we are going to put the spade in the ground in October. So we're here for the long haul. Glad to be a part of the community.
Well, very good. We're happy to have you. And it was kind of interesting, folks, that we've now got tourists flying in to visit the museum. So that's a little bit unique way to get your tourists also. Well, Charles, thanks very much for taking time to join us. We appreciate it, and I hope we can continue to appreciate the museum. So thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor, and we will see you next time.